stage. It is a very impressive CV when you have a look at the video package there, almost as impressive as the whistle on table 16 as well. What have we got here?
Well, John called me the keeper of the scrolls.
And so you've got the scrolls. It seems phenomenal to me when I'm watching that package in a world where I've only ever had to go on the internet to find this sort of information, that once upon a time that wasn't always the case, and you had to do it all yourself, had to find all that information.
Yeah, I guess I've always had a bent towards statistics and history. I actually had a dual major at uni in history and English, and yeah, it was just a natural progression to go that way. And it's funny you should be interviewing me, because one of the first jobs I ever copped at Gloucester Park was going out to your grandfather's place to inspect horses.
Man.
And I was a novice as far as horses concerned.
Oh no.
And I saw your grandfather geld a horse, a colt. It was a shock.
You used to feed them to the dog.
Exactly. It got thrown straight to the dog, and I thought, what the heck have I copped here? Oh.
And they say, welcome to harness racing.
Exactly. And but yeah, the people in it are fabulous, and there are so many characters. And yeah, when I started at Gloucester Park, it was at the time when they had a coup of the committee, and the new committee sacked 2 or 3 of the staff at Gloucester Park. And I remember going home that first week, and my mother said to me, she said, what the hell have you done going to work there? And yeah, it settled down a bit after that. I was lucky, but Rob mentioned the team effort, and from day one you were sort of welcomed into almost a family. And there was Rob and Ray Holloway, Matt Lively, David Flood. It was just a great environment to work in. And yeah, you got to know the industry at the grassroots level. You came in at the bottom and you learnt the hard way. You even learnt how to gelded horses.
Half your luck. That was the start of your working life in harness racing, but what about your introduction to the sport in general? Can we go back to that New Year's Day, 1970, you attend your first race meeting at Gloucester Park, and what an introduction. Mount Eden, Dainty's daughter. No wonder you were hooked.
I was. Someone American wrote a book called Hooked on Harness Racing, and that's exactly what happened to me. And it's funny how things turn out. Dainty's daughter became a favourite. She was just a stunning mare, and as things have turned out, I'm now married to Bernie Cushing's daughter. Yeah, it's funny.
More noise from table 16.
It was, she was just amazing. She ran a world record that night, and I'd seen Mount Eden earlier in the night, and I've still got the race book at home with my mother's handwriting in it with the starting prices. And I thought, geez, how good is this?
Did you have a little bet on them that night?
I was too young to bet.
Oh, you're never too young.
And my mother did, but yeah, it was just amazing. I went to Wesley College, and my schoolmates included Warren Robinson, whose father Laurie was one of the leading farriers in the state. Actually, Laurie shod pure steel, among others. And another classmate was a guy called Tim Blee, and Tim's still a mate after 57 years or whatever it is since we went to school. That very first day I went to Wesley, I was on the bus I lived out in Gosnells Way, and this other kid in a Wesley uniform on his first day at school got on the bus at Bentley. and we've been mates ever since.
Oh,
and
how
Tim the races horses now, and yeah, it was a good time. I was a bit surprised with Rob, but you didn't mention his altercation with the tiger at Gloucester Park.
Hang on. I've seen this picture as well. Only recently it popped up on Twitter, this tiger at Gloucester Park. I couldn't believe my eyes.
Yeah, Rob always laughed about the fact that his workmate went out and grabbed the tiger by the tail. Rob's trying to hold its head to keep it off the kid. So Rob got the dangerous end and his mate's got the tail end. But yeah, one of those promotional ideas that went horribly awry.
You don't say. Having a tiger at the racecourse, what could possibly go wrong?
What really got Rob's nose, but I don't know if you know Rod White, who used to be a photographer for the Daily News as well as being later a trot rider. Rod was the biggest bloke around. He could have probably eaten the tiger, he was that big. Rob always complained that all Rod White did was keep taking photos. He won a Walkley Award for Photo of the Year, but poor old Rob and his mate were trying to get the tiger off the kid. Yeah, I was lucky. Not very lucky. I went to that job interview and I took a sample of my index cards, which had a 3-generation pedigree on one side and all the Perth wins on the other for each horse.
I'm just fascinated by these index cards. What was your system? What were you writing on there? How did you keep it all? You must have had so many index cards. It would have been a very big collection.
There were thousands of them. Yes, thousands of them. And I took a sample with me when I went to the job interview with Ray Holloway and Laurie Collins, and I found out afterwards there were 170 applicants for the job of assistant registrar.
Bet you they didn't bring 1,000 index cards.
No, I was the only one, and yeah, they saw something that they liked in terms of things. Although I did have my ego dented severely because the application had to be in your own handwriting, because in those days all the records, the registration details were kept by hand. And I spent hours writing my application. I rewrote it about 7 or 8 times to get the handwriting perfect, or so I thought. And Ray Holloway says, he said, your handwriting's not the best. Little did he know I'd spent...
It was your 8th attempt.
Yeah.
But this was the good version.
Yeah, but it's been a great ride. The records regarding drivers and the 500 Club, Fred Kersley was the inspiration. I was in hospital recovering from an appendix operation, and I read that Kevin Newman, who's a West Australian, and if I can ever prove that his first licence was held here in WA, he too will get inducted into this Hall of Fame. I read that he'd driven 500 winners at Harold Park, and I thought, well, Fred Kersley must have done the same here in Perth, but there were no records. And so I went through all the old cuttings and the horse registration books. And
it must have been such an arduous task. I'm imagining you going through some dark, dingy rooms in the back of Gloucester Park trying to look through all these cuttings. What was that like?
Well, I've got to thank the TV stations in Perth for putting such rubbish on at night that I found it preferable to go ferreting through all those books. But yeah, I was allowed to take the books home to do it at night. At times you wondered what the hell you were doing. Surely there had to be a better life than recording all these winners. And then I'd never seen a computer till I went to Gloucester Park in 1977. And it was funny, I can still vividly remember the terminals we worked with. They were like boat anchors, they were huge. And they had a capacity, I don't know whether it was 256 megabytes.
Oh gee, wouldn't get much.
No, and the capacity of your mobile phone is bigger.
256 gigabytes.
Yeah, exactly. And
it's full.
But the machine was so slow that some of the staff used to do their knitting while they were waiting for it to respond. It was that slow. And yeah, 1996 I decided to computerise my records. I got a computer at home and went through organising them. Some good friends of mine, Colin and Lynn Brown, who are here tonight, their daughter helped me load some of them into the database, and it's a pretty fair system now. Bob Fowler, who's RAWA's harness rep, asked some years ago, do I have any records on breeders? So I thought, yeah, no, I don't, but I'll add it in. So I've now got every winner since 1910 with the trainer, driver, owner, breeder, and I even denote the females so that I can work out how many women have driven winners. I think we've got about 4,000 individuals who have driven a winner in WA since 1910. There's even more trainers, and I am proud of the fact that nationally there's only one state that's got trainers listed in the feature race results, and that's WA.
And that is because of you. That is a really massive service to harness racing. What's in these scrolls?
Oh, just some notes about people who've helped over the years.
I love that you've actually tied it up, the keeper of the scrolls.
Well, I did think about bringing a box of cinnamon scrolls.
Oh, that would have been preferable.
Well, my wife gave me a funny look when I suggested I'd bring cinnamon scrolls. And guess what, Hunty? You're not getting fruit mince pies at Christmas time, you're going to get cinnamon scrolls.
Absolutely, you are.
But yeah, it's in those records, compiling those records, you find anyone who's gone on Trove on the internet, you go looking to research something and you'll get distracted. And of all the stories I've written, the proudest one relates to David Simcock, who you may well know his grandson, Warren Simcoe. He was a little bloke, had red hair, and his nickname was Pink Top. And believe it or not, and I'd gone to Gloucester Park looking up one of the inductees tonight, Albert Cockram, was an inaugural committee member of the WA Trotting Association. And I'd gone there to find out when he actually finished being on the committee. And I found where the WATA had held a fundraiser for David Simcock's widow. David went to Gallipoli and he died on the 25th of April. And he died trying to rescue a mate, get him out of trouble. And because he was a trot trainer and trained a winner in Perth before he went, the WATA held a fundraiser for him, and their fundraiser, they went to a horse auction and bought back the horse that his widow had to sell to support the family. And then they gave her the horse. So they paid for it, she got the proceeds, and then they gave her the horse back so she could continue the business. And I got an opportunity to write about David Simcock, and it was published in a full page in the West Australian during an Anzac thing in the build-up to the centenary of Anzac. And there's an iconic photograph of the 11th Battalion on the pyramids at Giza, and there's a little bloke standing to attention on the very top, and that's David Simcock. And if I hadn't gone to Gloucester Park looking for information on Albert Cockram,
you wouldn't have known the story.
I would never have found the story. And yeah, it's something special. The other thing that I get choked up about is Westburn Grant, so we won't go there.
I can see you getting teary already.
Yeah. It's very emotional time. But can I just thank a couple of people? Like Fred Kersley, some good mates, Colin and Lynn Brown, Lyle Lindor, been a good friend for a long time. And there's so many people in this industry who I really have a lot of time for. And I was in early 20s and I started at Gloucester Park, and I was working with my heroes, the Kersleys, the Coulsons and co, and yeah, amazing. And I've been very fortunate, and I thought the Brennan Award last year was pretty good. This is just unbelievable.
This is really special. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Hall of Fame, Alan Parker.